Hello everybody, David Abram here. Welcome back to my channel as always. And today's video is going to be a little bit of an inspired video from Vention MGTOW, or Vention 1 MGTOW. And in this video, he talks a little bit about his take on TFLers in relation to the MGTOW community. And it sort of inspired me to talk a little bit about this myself, because I think some of what he has to say, if not all of what he has to say, kind of goes right on par with my own beliefs on TFLers. Now, to start off, TFLers just simply stands for True Fourth Loners, and basically they're men who have been rejected by women or females, or just simply cannot obtain females or female company, and because of that, they are basically walk a lonely path. They want it, but they just can't obtain it, rather it be because of their personality, rather it be from the way they look, or rather it be from the ways they conduct themselves as a whole. But the gist of true forced loners is that they want female company and want a female companion, but cannot obtain that. And I want to talk about that in concerns to the MGTOW community, because I've noticed in some videos, actually Aaron Clary's video, he talks about MGTOW, and he describes the third group of MGTOW as people who are abusing MGTOW. And the group he's really talking about are not really MGTOWs, but I think he's really referring to TFLers. But I want to talk about TFLers in relation to MGTOW, because I think TFLers have a lot of potential to become MGTOWs. But I've sometimes noticed that the MGTOW community seems to exclude TFLers, but we have a lot of married MGTOW supporters. And in this video, I just sort of wanted to say, TFLers have the most potential to become MGTOWs, even more so than married MGTOW supporters. And the reason I say this is because, number one, they're single, and number two, they're not bound to the state. They're not tied to the state, so already they have better qualifications for going their own way than do all the married MGTOW supporters. Not to put any of the married MGTOW supporters down, but I think for the MGTOW community to exclude TFLers is, I think it's a little redundant, because, let's say a person has never been on the dating scene, or they've never really experienced a physical relationship of girlfriend and boyfriend, but are still drawn to the red pill. And, when they're drawn to the red pill, they work with it, they adopt some of the ideologies and proclaim their MGTOW. And this is where I disagree with Aaron Clary's video about the third group abusing MGTOW. Let's say a TFLer really did seek female companionship and company, but couldn't obtain it, but then later turns to the red pill for a little bit of analogy on why this might be. And then, because of that, they adopt these ideologies, and over time, not saying it happens overnight, but they change their ideology and change their outlook. And it shows from the way they're changing their behavior. Is that not MGTOW? Despite having never been on the dating scene and having never been in a relationship, to know that there's a different standard for one party and a different one for the other one. I know a MGTOW, and he has somewhat of a resembling background. Scotty3861, if you haven't seen his video, or if you haven't checked out his channel, there's a video where he talks about his journey to MGTOW, where it wasn't because he's actually been on the dating scene, or because he'd been in a relationship. It was because he couldn't obtain that, and it wasn't obtainable for him. So because of that, he turned to MGTOW. I think sometimes in the MGTOW community, or at least in some parts of the MGTOW community, we focus a little too extensively on how people were drawn to MGTOW. Because let's just face it, all MGTOWs, no matter who you are, where you are, we all come from different walks of life. We all come from different walks of the earth. And so how everybody finds MGTOW and finds the red pill just isn't going to be the same, naturally. Not everybody is going to have been not everybody is going to have been to the dating scene, or been married, or have been divorced, or have, been a PUA for a little while, or whatever it is of how you got there. Like it or not, some people may have actually been turned to MGTOW because they couldn't obtain all of that. So, in Aaron Clary's video where I have the disagreements about, is when he says that MGTOW is being abused. I mean, one could argue that it is being abused, but I don't think so. I think their reason for turning to MGTOW, even to the third group, is somewhat justified. Because if something is unattainable, or unreachable, and out of you achieving, why strive for something that is unattainable? Wouldn't it make sense to try to pursue something else? And that's why I don't think the MGTOW community should really condemn or exclude TFLers. Because the difference between married MGTOW supporters and TFLers is that married MGTOW supporters are not MGTOWs, and they can't qualify for MGTOW. They're married, and they're bound to the state. TFLers are not married, and they're not bound to the state. So already, even though they may have never heard of the term MGTOW like married MGTOW supporters have, they, to me at least in my eyes, have a better qualification to become MGTOW than all the married MGTOW supporters combined. So, what I'm basically saying is, my fellow MGTOW brothers and newcomers alike, TFLers deserve a chance. So, allow them to have that chance. Any person who is watching this and who is a TFLer, if you're watching, just know, I am giving you a chance. You have a chance. And you know what? You may not know it, but you could be more of a MGTOW than the rest of us. Who knows? The only thing about the TFLer has to change is his mentality. After he changes his mentality, which of course doesn't happen overnight, but once he changes his mentality, he, by the definition of a MGTOW, is a MGTOW. And let's say he does have personality, let's say he does have a personality that isn't appealing to females, and, is rejected after rejection after rejection, and before long he decides to give up on it. He's still a MGTOW. So, I just thought I would sort of talk a little bit about that and clear that up, because TFLers, I think, like it or not, are somewhat closer to the qualifications of MGTOW than people realize. And sometimes I think we should just bear in a little bit of an open mind that regardless of how we got here, the past cannot be undone. All we can do as MGTOW brothers in arms is continue striving and moving forward. And TFLers are no different. So, what are your thoughts on TFLers? You agree? Disagree? If you have any thoughts, please don't feel hesitant to leave them in the comment sections below. Please do. And like, subscribe, and until the next time, cheers.